The following program is a paid message from Mission Park Funeral Chapels and Cemeteries. The services featured in this program have been provided by Mission Park and others who are solely responsible for the content of the program.
Welcome to the San Antonio River and an all-new Mission Park Cares. And today we'll learn about some estate planning ideas that could save your family a lot of money.
Then we're going to catch up with Joy the Butterfly from Morgan's Wonderland to see how she's spreading cheer all over San Antonio.
But first, we're proud to present Michael with one of Elvis's biggest hits.
I'm Michael, and this is Crying in the Chapel. You saw me crying in the chapel. The tears I shed were tears of joy. I know the meaning of contentment. Now I'm happy with the Lord. Just a plain and simple chapel where humble people go to pray. I pray the Lord that I'll grow stronger as I live from day to day. I've searched and I've searched, but I couldn't find the way on earth to gain peace of mind. Now I'm happy in the chapel where people are on one accord. Yes, we gather in the chapel just to sing and praise the Lord. You'll search and you'll search, but you'll never find no way on earth to gain peace of mind. Take your troubles to the chapel. Get down on your knees and pray. Then your burdens will be lightened, and you'll surely find the way.
You know, I'm here with Debbie Chesney, who's been a very dear friend of mine. And Debbie, you are now a community minister.
Yep.
And you need to tell me a little bit more about that and what that really means.
I've been the community chaplain for about almost 4 years. And basically, I am a chaplain with a congregation, if you will, that's outside of the walls. We are not in a building, we are everywhere.
Tell me what kind of direction or guidance are you giving to people? What does that really mean outside the walls?
Really, I do that by sending people to professionals. I might hook somebody that's worried about an addiction issue. I'll connect them with a counselor.
You're talking to other people that are having issues, but you see it in a different light. You're also working with everybody from my age children or less maybe to, you know, us big children like me.
Yeah, I deal with all different ages. I do a lot of VBS, which is Vacation Bible School at different churches, and I'll go in and teach maybe in the mornings.
Debbie, did you have a real religious background as you were growing up as a child?
I grew up going to Sunday school. It stuck. And so I'm very grateful that my parents did raise me that way.
You're passing that message along to children today.
Yes.
Debbie, a little story about this particular building was really built off of pre-need, people doing things that ahead of time of having to need something so that it keeps somebody from kind of having the worst shopping day of their life. How do you work with people as far as making sure that are trying to get them to do things ahead of time?
I get a lot of people, especially like after a funeral, that will come up and say, hey, what you did here, we need you to do that again. And so it gives me an opportunity to open the door and say, you need to go sit down and talk with someone about this. But one of the things is it's going to save you money. It's going to save you hassle, and it's such a gift to those that are left behind. So I'm a big believer in pre-planning.
Debbie, I'm going to ask you a question about your week.
Okay.
And what's the best part of it?
I really love getting to know people. I'm so blessed that I'm invited to so many people's really like intimate, deep moments of joy and grief, and it's just such an honor to be able to walk in and bring the light of God in, or bring the calm to the chaos in there, bring some light to the darkness. And a lot of the times it's really fun to be able to bring a little sense of humor in there.
Debbie, I want to thank you so much for everything you're doing for our community. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you do for a lot of people who are out there, and they need someone like you who are, and you are, the sunshine of their lives.
Oh,
so thank you.
It truly is my honor, and anything good that I'm doing, all credit's going upstairs. So thank you very much.
Now, here's Chaplain Debbie Chesney with a prayer for everyone.
Thank you, Dick and Kristen. I'd love to share this prayer with you all this morning. God, you tell us in the Psalms to be still and know that you are God. So today we come before you to do just that. Some days are a lot easier to do that than others. But the one constant that never changes in any of our days is you and your presence. And because of that, we always have hope, and we thank you for that. I lift up our city to you. May we be confident that there are great days ahead, days that are going to be filled with laughter and joy and friends and family. Thank you for loving each and every one of us. Help us to love each other better. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Welcome back to Mission Park Cares.
And I'm really, really excited to introduce everybody to Gordon Hartman, who doesn't need an introduction, to see what's going on at Morgan's Wonderland.
I can't wait, Dick. Take us there.
And we're back at Morgan's Wonderland, and I'm here with my absolute dear friend, Gordon Hartman. You know, but we want to learn a little bit about the man behind the Morgan's Wonderland empire, and tell us about your story. Where did you start, Gordon?
First of all, Dick, I want to thank you for coming back. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We've had so much fun doing this. You decided, hey, come back again, so we
Had to do
appreciate
it.
it very much. A little background is, my first job was walking dogs. Then I took that money and I bought some lawnmowers, and I then started cutting grass. I then started cutting grass, saved enough money to where when I turned 19, I built my first home. So I sold that home, and then I went and took that money along with the other money I put in it from cutting grass, and I built 2 homes. Sold those. Then I thought, wow, and then I found 9 lots altogether. And I went and built 9 at one time. Sold all those. Well, then over 22 years, the company just really grew into a big organization here in San Antonio. We're the largest locally owned home builder land operator in San Antonio when I sold back in 2005. Sold the home building operation, the land development operation, the insurance company, the mortgage company, and the title company all in one day. So I went from running and managing 5 companies to basically being unemployed the next day. And I can remember having breakfast that next morning going, what am I going to do now? Not knowing that I'd be blessed with a daughter who has special needs, saying, that's where I want to put my time. when you have wonderful people that you're working with, time is important. And so a lot of people who work here could work other places for more money. They could, but they're here because they believe in what we're doing. And that's what makes us different.
Well, I understand, but it's still a top-down.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere, and and you're a good person to work with and not for, is what you're telling me. Oh my gosh,
and then-
look here,
and then-
we have
and then-
a surprise
yeah,
visit.
And this guy here, Joy.
Yeah. Hi, Joy.
Joy has a way with her wings.
Right. Yeah, I'm telling you. Look at that.
Yeah, she can
Very
really
colorful.
fly around here, yes.
Well, Joy, thank you for what you're doing and going to all these different places. And I'll tell you, you're a very special person to be part of all of our lives here in San Antonio.
Dick, to tell you how busy Joy is right now.
Tell me.
Joy is going to over 40 homes in San Antonio just this month, plus every week putting on parades for group homes.
Oh, Joy.
So, I
good
mean,
job.
Joy is putting on, and so hitting and seeing hundreds and hundreds of special needs individuals, their families, their caregivers. And so Joy has been a part of our whole program to make sure that we can take Mortgage Wonderland out to the community.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And again, I know how proud you are of Mortgage Wonderland and Joy and everything that you've done here, but golly, look at all the butterflies on this map. And what's happening is people are so proud to be able to come down to San Antonio, and we're proud that it's the epicenter and the only one like it in the United States.
Actually, in the world.
In
There's
the
no other
world.
place. Now, I will tell you this, there is communication with some folks over on the other side of the pond about developing a Mortgage Wonderland. We actually just had those conversations this morning.
Yes.
There are other areas in the country that have made adjustments to their parks to be more like Mortgage Wonderland. And there's actually a couple of cities here in the country that are actually looking to develop a Mortgage Wonderland. But the interesting thing is these butterflies only represent our first year in operation.
Oh my God.
Because if we hadn't, then all this would be filled with these butterflies all over. Joy would be everywhere. Right? You'd be everywhere. And so Joy is everywhere, but we didn't want to cover up the whole map. So after the first year, we went ahead and stopped putting the butterflies up. Joy, thank you so much for being here. Give me a big, there you go, and give Dick a big hand as well. All right, very
Joy.
good.
And
Thank you so much for being here and all that you're doing to help us.
And Joy, you're doing God's work, and thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Gordon Hartman really is making a difference. Now, let's take a moment to honor those loved ones who will never be forgotten.
And welcome back to Mission Park Cares.
We get so many questions about cremation services, so we'll have a conversation today with Michael Hoffman with Mission Park.
And let's go meet Michael right now.
I'm here with Michael Hoffman, the general manager of Mission Park. Hi, Mike. Thanks
Hi,
for being
good morning.
with us.
Oh,
Good
most
morning. We've gotten so many questions through our website now asking us about cremation.
Cremation has grown, not only in number, but also grown during this pandemic. And with the popularity of cremation, I want families to know that they can have everything that goes along with a traditional funeral, meaning love and the care and preparation of their loved one, the visitation and viewing, taking their loved one to the church that they were married in, or having a ceremony in our chapel. And in lieu of burial, we would cremate as a mode of disposition. I look at cremation as just a mode of disposition, much like entombment or burial, or scattering at sea, or burial at sea. It's just, to me, another mode of disposition that we can offer families.
This was originally a cemetery only, and today it's not that way. It's a little bit different today. Wouldn't you agree, Mike?
I would agree, since 1907, and I admire the history, and if anyone just wanted a recreational walk, just taking a mile walk around the cemetery and looking at the history of San Antonio in this park by itself is amazing. But it's not only a park. Not only do we come to remember a loved one and celebrate their life, but throughout the San Antonio area and out in surrounding areas, Mission Park is also a funeral provider. We also own and operate our own crematory. We also have the mausoleums. We have the personal mausoleums, private burial and whatnot, but we have chapels at nearly all of our facilities, and if not one day, we'll real soon. And that we can provide a family from the first call, that when we're first notified or they're first notified of the death of their loved one. From that moment to the moment of final disposition, Mission Park has a facility and has staff and caring personnel to care for them from that entire beginning to end process.
So really it's only one call.
One call in Mission Park would most definitely be honored with the opportunity to help a family during the lowest time of their life.
So, Mike, in your career, I mean, you've probably seen a lot of things evolve, but one thing is a ceremonial casket. Will you explain a little bit about that, and what
Absolutely.
response have you seen from the families?
Well, the biggest thing I think that may deter families away from choosing cremation or versus traditional funeral, it could be a cost factor. But with the creation of a ceremonial casket, and we call it that, but the entire casket could be reused. It's ceremonial. The entire interior is then removed and their loved one could be cremated in that. In addition to just having that, we do have also cremation caskets that the family can choose, less movement of their loved one, and have the full traditional funeral. And then rather than process to a cemetery, we can go to our very own crematory and cremate their loved one here on premise. And do that.
Which really gives the family the opportunity to say goodbye. Have a video, a prayer, picture, and also one last viewing, one more time.
So many more and more, I think we see that funerals are actually becoming more of a celebration of life. You can see in all the chapels and the way that the chapels that you all have built, we're fortunate to be opening soon and excited about it, is that they're state of the art. They're gonna have their private visitation suite with restrooms. There'll be more upbeat music. There'll be coffee bars. There'll be a comfortable setting for people to come visit. It's really transformed from the ABC funeral to the A to Z funeral. And that's just a tribute to working with family and working with both of you, being fourth generation, and sitting around a round table like this and saying, these are things we need, and these are things that we're seeing people ask for.
You know, Mike, the reason why we're having this conversation today is because we've had so many people who have responded to us about all the things that you've been discussing, about all their options, like you said, A to Z, you know, soup to nuts, that sort of thing. The difference, though, is that I just think it's a big advantage when people sit down, talk about their estate planning, talk about their wills, talk about, quite frankly, planning a funeral. I mean, tell me how much easier it is for a family when you visit with somebody who's already made those arrangements ahead of time versus someone who doesn't.
And that's one of the most important things that a couple can do together, is prearrange his or her own services together. I mean, that's the one final thing you can do in life. Everyone has talked about the circle of life and the band that we wear as a wedding thing, and to complete that circle and to do that with a couple, when that person loses that someone and that final call is made to them, you don't know when it's going to be. Middle of the night, morning, accident, whatever it could be, that final call, you'll remember that moment for the rest of your life. Being across from that widow or from the children with someone who's already made those arrangements, I can tell you it puts their mind at such an ease, because they're honoring what that person would have wanted. And instead of sitting there and looking at each other, what do we do? The gift that's given to them by doing that is you can't put a price on that.
Mike, thank you for all you do, for
Absolutely.
all the years and everything you've done for our community.
And we love you for it, and we thank you.
And thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank
much.
you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. That's information that everyone can use.
Now let's pay tribute to lives well lived.
Hey guys, welcome back at Nonna's Kitchen. So today we're gonna learn how to make carbonara pasta, a classic pasta that has 3 simple ingredients: eggs, parmesan, and guanciale. But the funny story is that my sister and I loved to eat this pasta when we were kids, and we struggle more with vegetables. So my mom decided to start incorporating some vegetables in the dishes that we like the most, to help us eat healthy as well. So if you want to make this dish at home, you can put your little twist to it and add any type of vegetable you kids like. Okay, so let's start with the basic. I have some spaghetti pasta. I have some grated Parmesan cheese and some grated pecorino cheese. Then we have some shallots, some eggs, some guanciale, that is the pork jaw, is like a bacon, is cured in salt, pepper, and white wine. And lastly, our sweet peas. We're just gonna help the spaghetti to get inside the pan slowly while they're softening it up. You can always break the spaghetti in half, but in Italy, that would be something really, really, really bad. So if you can, keep the length of the spaghetti. So the next step is gonna be cut the guanciale. We're gonna make some small cubes. Perfect, this way. A couple of more cuts in this direction. What we want is to cut out little cubes. They're very similar in shape and size. So compared to bacon, guanciale has more of a nutty flavor, slightly more fatty, but a good amount of that fat is gonna melt in the pan and it's gonna be part of the sauce that we're gonna make for the pasta. I can't wait to show you guys. We're gonna add a little bit of vegetable oil to our pan. We're gonna add the guanciale in the pan and we're gonna bring it back to the stove. This wanna be a slow cooking process, so not a lot of heat under the pan, and just keep an eye on the guanciale, moving it around every once in a while. Okay, on our next step, we're gonna start with the eggs. So for the carbonara recipe, for every person we're gonna feed is equal 1 egg. So today I'm gonna cook for the 2 of you guys, and I will be using 2 eggs. And we lightly beat them up with the help of a fork or a whisk. At this point, we're ready to add the Parmesan cheese and the pecorino. So I'll start moving the cheese around. What I wanna see is the eggs getting thicker and thicker. And finally, we start to get to the right consistency. It's no more running as before, you see, but it's a nice soft paste. Remember to keep an eye on the guanciale, move it around so it's gonna crisp it up all the way around. This is the nice color that we're trying to get on the guanciale, slightly brown, giving it time to melt out all the fatty part that is gonna add flavor to our pasta. Okay, let's check on the pasta. The spaghetti seems to be ready, but this is an easy way to check if they're cooked completely or not. You wanna snap them in half and see if the center of it is completely white or yellow like the rest of the spaghetti. And in this case, it's yellow. That means that it's cooked. We're ready to add the pasta to our guanciale. And this is how the pasta and guanciale is gonna look in your pan. And now we're ready to add everything in the eggs. Just move it around. And the eggs are gonna start to melt with the heat of the pasta and the oil and create this amazing sauce that is the carbonara sauce. And then, of course, the sweet peas. The heat of the pasta is gonna warm up the sweet peas enough where you're gonna have that fresh, perfect bite and the heat of the pasta around it. I'm gonna try to get a little bit of all the ingredients to mix up with it, but leave some on the bottom of the pot so that I can pour on top of the pasta. So here we are, guys, from my kitchen to your home, my favorite version of the carbonara.
Thank you for joining us today.
And we're always here for you and all your family members, because at Mission Park, it's our mission to care.
We'll see you next week.
The preceding program was a paid message from Mission Park Funeral Chapels and Cemeteries. The services featured in this program were provided by Mission Park and others who were solely responsible for the content of the program.